Welcome back to Behind the Caution Tape. I'm your host, CrashLit. It's another Monday rundown here, so super excited to be back here for this episode. It's definitely been really busy this past week and a lot of action going on, even though there's not too many home games over the next few weeks. But that said, though, a lot happening with USC athletics. So let's get in all of it. Before we do, just want to make sure that you know that if you are interested in getting a knick-knack doll like my basketball figure, you can use my promo code FIGHTONCC for 15% off your order. Go to getknickknack.com and be sure to follow them on Instagram at knickknackworld. So let's start with some football news. USC making some big news this week with getting rising sophomore safety Kennedy Urlacher transferring from Notre Dame to USC. And I think that's a huge pickup. Obviously, I mean, it's a freshman. He made 12 tackles, so definitely hope to see him, get a bigger role. But as we've talked about, love seeing USC just steal from the rivals. UCLA, Notre Dame. You just love it. I mean, Danton Lynn last year, Chad Bowden earlier, now Urlacher. So it's definitely just really exciting to see all of that, especially with everything. And I mean, obviously, Kennedy Urlacher is, big name, especially his father being Brian Urlacher. So, former football linebacker who played for the who spent his whole NFL career with the Chicago Bears. So definitely just really excited to have him here. Just definitely add to the depth in the safety position. I think is going to be big for USC. But definitely, like I said, I always like to give a bit of football news. Start these episodes. Men's basketball's also been busy. They've had some Musselman's continue now guys from the transfer portal, and this week he got rising senior forward Ezra Ausar from Utah. He's now with USC. He shot 51% last season with the Utes and averaged 12.5 points per game. I mean, that whole Utah team, I guess, is probably going into the portal. I haven't been following Utah too much, but what's surprised there's more guys that just everyone's looking for a new scene with Utah firing Craig Smith near the end of this season. But still, definitely, I think a big pickup. And just definitely, I'm really liking just how Musselman is just, putting this team back together. And I think this year's going to be better. Sure, I think there's going to be a lot of new faces, but I still am really excited for what's to come with this men's basketball team. And obviously this year it is, pressure's definitely more on for Muss and Co., but I still am confident in the Muss Bus. Like I said, just year one, we had to be patient as fans, but I think this year we're definitely what Musselman showed potential. Just obviously things didn't go quite right at the end, but I think this year the team I think is going to be I'm really excited to cheer these guys on next winter. Women's basketball women's basketball's had a lot of news this week. So USC saw Kiki Iriafen drafted 4th overall by the Washington Mystics and Rhea Marshall drafted 25th in the second round by the Connecticut Sun. So Trojans getting USC sees 2 more players turned Trojans, so congrats to both of them, and they were definitely fun to watch. Obviously, Kiki was here for 1 year, but she was great, and then Rhea Marshall just being just a huge anchor. Her and Clarice Akunwafo were just a huge part of just this team and just getting people to buy in when they themselves bought into the Lindsay Gottlieb's vision. When they didn't even initially commit to her, they committed to former USC coach Mark Track. But after he retired, they stayed committed to Gottlieb, and they could have easily left, but they bought into it. And then obviously you've seen the greatness this team has done going to the Elite Eight back-to-back years. And even though it's definitely been tough seeing some players leave, I'm still very confident and very high on Lindsay Gottlieb in this program. So really excited for them. They did pick up guard Cara Dunn, who is joining USC after an all-ACC season with Georgia Tech. So really excited to have that she'll be joining, definitely add to the guard room, but obviously you need a power forward and bigs, I think is kind of the big thing that this team is going to need. But like I said, I'm still confident. One blow that I was definitely bummed to see, though, this week was assistant coach Wendell Farrow was hired as an assistant coach with South Carolina. And that one, it was tough to see. I mean, I don't blame Dale at all. He's a great guy, great coach. You can just tell with how he is, you can tell how he just interacts with everyone that he genuinely cares about his players. And I think that just came off so true. And I've always had so many positive interactions with him over the past 4 years. But it's hard to blame him for, turn down an opportunity to, work with Don Staley, who might just be right now one of the greatest coaches in the game. So just for that, I mean, I wish him nothing but the best. I am definitely sad about it, but at the same time, I mean, I've said this before, like I've learned just not to blame anyone for doing what they think is best for them and their career and their family. But still, it's definitely tough to see Dale go into South Carolina, especially when USC's now got to face the Gamecocks twice now in the next 2 years in the real SC series. So definitely, yeah. So Dale will be on the other side, but definitely still be fun to see him when the Gamecocks come to LA, and then obviously USC will go out to Greensboro the following year. So I'm still really, like I said, excited for him, but also it's sad. So it's pretty bittersweet, but wishing him nothing but the best in his new chapter. But definitely that is another vacancy that USC Lindsay Gottlieb will need to fill on her coaching staff. That said, I have nothing but confidence that she'll find someone really good to help just continue to how maintain a great staff. So women's volleyball or track and field, we'll talk them first. Took part in the Mount Sac relays in Walnut, California from on Friday and Saturday and won 8 events at the event. So they're definitely continuing to stay hot. And up next for them is the USC UCLA dual meet on May 4th. That'll be at Drake Stadium in Westwood. So UCLA is hosting. It's the final outdoor regular season event before the Big Ten and NCAA. So USC needs to come ready for the rivalry meet. And as we've talked about, these rivalry meets, UCLA doesn't mess around. And I mean, I'll get into it later as I talk about the games I was at, but UCLA comes ready for those. So, I mean, just for context, I went 1-3 last week in rivalry games. So, but UCLA comes fired up for those. So USC's got to be ready, and especially just to keep building momentum, especially as, both teams, I think, could really very likely win outdoor national championships. So best of luck to track and field, but we'll talk more about it next week and as it approaches. So women's volleyball was at Long Beach State on Saturday. They played both Pepperdine and Long Beach State, but no scores were reported. But definitely think it's good for this team to keep getting spring reps. But then up next, their final spring day will be at UC Santa Barbara on May 3rd. So best of luck to them in the final stretch of their spring season. Soccer, meanwhile, has their final spring match this weekend on Saturday at noon when they'll host UNLV at Dignity Health Sports Parks for their final spring match. So looking forward to just seeing them get one more chance to go compete, and then best of luck to them heading into the summer and fall. So rowing took part in the Big Ten Invite in Sarasota, Florida on Friday and Saturday. And over the 3 rounds over the 2 days, they had no boats win the first round. They saw 3 boats win the second round, and then the 3v8 plus flight won, and then their 3 varsity 8 boat won in the third round with a time of 6:59.348. So up next, they'll take part in the Dexter Lake event up in Lowell, Oregon, and they just need to keep building on the momentum from the Big Ten Invite, especially because this is their last regular season meet before the Big Ten Conference Championship. So best of luck to them in a couple of weeks. Men's golf was off this week and now gets ready for the Big Ten Championships at the Baltimore Country Club. That'll run from Friday to Sunday, and USC just needs to just have a really strong event to try to put themselves in the best position to qualify for the NCAA. So best of luck to them. We'll talk more about them next week. Women's golf had their Big Ten championships this week though, and came in 9th overall with a score of 20 over par, and then a 884 total score over the event. So Catherine Park went tied 5th, Bailey Shoemaker tied 37th, Jasmine Koo tied 46th, Kylie Chong tied 50, and Cindy Koo in tied 72nd. So up next for them is the NCAA Regionals from May 5th through the 7th. So we'll talk about them when that comes up. But best of luck to them, and their location is TBD. Hopefully there is more info that arises over the next couple of weeks, so I'll make sure to keep you all informed of that. Men's tennis split their final weekend on the road. They lost 4-2 at Nebraska on Friday and then won 4-1 at Wisconsin on Sunday. And then against the Huskers, Nebraska won the doubles point, and only Peter Mack and Carl Lee won their singles matches, with Nebraska winning 3 singles matches to take the duel. And then against Wisconsin, USC got the doubles points and saw Carl Lee, Tristan Bradley, and Connor Church win their singles matches to take down the Badgers. So USC finishes the regular season tied fourth with an 8-5 Big Ten mark, 14-9 overall. And due to the tie breaks, they will be the sixth seed in the Big Ten tournament. So that starts this week on Friday. They'll face third seeded Michigan State, who went 15-8 and 10-3 overall. The duel will start at 1, and it'll be in Columbus, Ohio. So when they get to the semifinals on Saturday with the final on Sunday. So USC lost to Michigan State at home, so they're going to need to battle really hard in this one to keep their season going and make a run in the Big Ten tournament. So women's tennis, who was ranked 16th this week, lost at number 19 UCLA 4-2, then won their final two home duels of the year, one with sweeps over Rutgers and Maryland. And against UCLA, the Bruins got the doubles point with only Grace Piper and Jana Hossam winning their singles matches, but it was not enough, and USC fell to the Bruins. Against the Scarlet Knights, USC got the doubles point with Emma Charney, Jana Hossam, and Parker Fry winning their singles matches to get the sweep over Rutgers. And then against Maryland on Senior Day, USC got the doubles points with Grace Piper, Lily Fairclough, and Sloan Mora winning their singles matches for a second straight sweep. So USC finishes the year 15-6 overall, 9-4 in Big Ten play, good for a sixth place finish in the conference. So up next, USC will face 11th seed Michigan State, who's 13-11 overall, 5-8 in Big Ten play, on Wednesday at 6 in the Big Ten first round. Winning, you go to the quarterfinals, and then semifinals on the next day. Semifinals are on Friday, and the final is on Saturday. So USC swept Michigan State, USC swept Michigan State at home, but definitely gonna need to take advantage of that to grind your way through this tournament, especially because you got to play 4 rounds. And that game will be shown for both teams will be on the Big Ten Plus. So the game is on the Big Ten Plus in the first round. Lacrosse got a 21-3 win against Oregon on Saturday for a Senior Day dub at Dignity Health Sports Park. And Maddie Dora led the team with 4 goals. And USC dominated the Ducks from start to finish and were just raining in goals for the first 3 quarters before only really scoring outscoring them 2-1 in the fourth. But still, just definitely a very dominant performance from the Trojans on the year. So USC finishes the year 10-6 overall, 3-5 in Big Ten play. So they're the 6th seed finish and 6th in the tournament. So up next, they'll face 3rd seeded Michigan, who went 11-5 overall, 5-3 at College Park in Maryland on Big Ten Plus quarterfinals. So they'll play so that starts on. So the event starts on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Game will be on the Big Ten Plus, and then with a win, USC will advance into the semifinals and play either Maryland or Rutgers, and then the final is on Sunday, and the semifinals are on Friday. So USC fell to Michigan early in the year, so they need to come ready to play and win, especially, obviously, it's a neutral site, but Michigan is much closer to home, so USC needs to just be ready to play, and best luck to lacrosse this week. Beach volleyball lost their final regular season duel of the year 3-2 to UCLA. So they'll probably drop from where they are in 6th. But so USC got wins on the 3s and 4s courts, but UCLA just was ready to play and had their other 3 pairs, several pairs dominating their matches in the duel. So USC will finish the year regular season 23-8, likely to move down from number 6. They got the 3 seed for the MPSF tournament, and that'll take place at Newland Street Courts in HB State Beach, so not very far from where I'm from. Just due to the times, I don't think I can make it down, though. But so they start on Wednesday against 6th seed Washington at 9:30 a.m. on the Big Ten Plus, and then depending on the results, determine where and when they'll play next. The whole tournament will be on the Big Ten Plus, and it's a double elimination event. So USC just needs to come ready to play in order to get ready for the NCAAs. Fortunately, USC did beat Washington multiple times, so they are familiar with the Huskies, but still, definitely you got to come ready for this one. Women's water polo lost at UCLA 13-9 on Saturday. So they now drop to 26-2 on the year, 5-1 in MPSF play on the season. So they split the MPSF title three ways. And due to the tie-breaking format, USC will have the 2 seed in the MPSF tournament, which we hosted at UCLA. So the Trojans back out to Westwood at Speaker Aquatic Center. During the game, USC lost 13-9, as I said, with Ava Stryker, Alma Jacoby, and Emily Osmus leading with 2 goals each for USC. USC started the first period strong, going out 4-1, but UCLA had a strong 7-0 second period to take the lead and hold on for good. And then USC struggled to make shots for much of the game. So it was just really tough game, but I think I'm very confident this team will bounce back and just definitely it was a tough one, especially like I said, it's a rivalry game, so it's always tough to see those, but I still think this team has the potential to win a national championship this year. Like they've played really well aside from and just had a couple ones not go their way, but still going 26-2 is impressive. So best of luck to them and looking forward to seeing how they do this week. Men's volleyball split their weekend against UCLA. They lost 3-2 against the second ranked Bruins on Thursday before bouncing back 2 nights later to sweep UCLA on their home court on senior night. So Dylan Klein led with 11 kills on Thursday, and in those, he secured his 100th kill. So Dylan, congratulations, my guy, on 1,000 career kills. It was so great, and just wish I should have been up more on that, known that you were that close, and would have asked you about it when I had you on last week. But again, it was congrats again, dude. Like it's been so fun watching you ball out since you got here as a freshman, and I can't wait to just see the great things you continue to do in a Trojan uniform, not just here, not just this year, but also next year, and especially just hearing just everything, especially getting to know your family, interview your grandfather as well. It's just so cool. Just how it was just so cool to just see that moment for you. So congrats again, Dylan. And then Klein also led with 9 kills on Saturday against UCLA. So the first match was back and forth. Sets were really close all the way, but UCLA was able to secure the match in a 5 set with a 5-set with a 15-11 fifth set win. So USC won the first set, then UCLA won the next two. USC won the fourth, and then UCLA won the fifth. And then the second match was also back and forth, but USC was just played really angry, I thought. Just you could just tell they were bent, like hell bent on winning that one. And just they secured the dub in straight sets. And it was just probably one of the most impressive this team's looked all season. And they snapped a 10-game losing streak against UCLA. It's my first time seeing men's volleyball beat UCLA. I'm 1-7 all time against the Bruins. Plus, it was also interesting, seeing Guy Guinness play his former team because he, as I've mentioned before, he did his undergrad at UCLA, then came here for his master's. And some of you probably saw my story I put out after he had a quick kill at Galen. I caught it on video and I said UCLA, Guy Guinness is ours now. And I think it showed and we had a laugh over it, but definitely, he's definitely a cool guy for sure. But it's definitely interesting, definitely would want to have him on at some point on the podcast, especially because he sees this rivalry different than a lot of us who are just one-sided. If you're like me, you hate UCLA. If you go to UCLA, you hate USC. So it's definitely, I want to hear his perspective on it as someone who's, seeing both sides of it. So USC will finish the regular season 20-6 overall and 8-4 in MPSF play. They finished second in conference and then earned the number 2 seed. And due to the imbalance in how schedules are structured, coaches vote on the seeding, but USC held true and got the 2nd seed. So USC is going to be placed in the semifinals. And with the way the bracket works, it's single elimination. But teams don't. But basically, the worse you do or where your seed is, you don't have to play until later in the tournament. So it's definitely, I think, a huge advantage for USC not have to play till Friday. And the teams are going to have to play, could have possibly been playing since Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on if there are any upsets earlier on in the bracket. But still, definitely, like I said, huge for USC. They held steady at number 5 this week. But I still think this team could win it all and just secure the automatic bid. And I think doing well and being this close is huge for them because they'll be in the semifinals on Friday. They're in the finals on Saturday with a win, and then they play on Friday 8 p.m. at Pepperdine, and the tournament's at Pepperdine. So the first game is on Big Ten Plus, and then the finals Saturday at 7:30 on the Big Ten Network. USC has a good chance to earn an at-large, but would still benefit from making it at least to the final, and obviously winning it all too is preferred, especially if UCLA loses, because I don't see because UCLA had held steady at number two. They're 20-5 on the year. I don't see. I'm pretty sure that if UCLA loses at any point in the tournament, they probably get an at-large bid, and you probably don't want to play with this. So USC, I think, could possibly get it depending on how things go, but they would definitely just benefit themselves if they win the tournament outright and just don't even leave any question. But still, just how it is with five conferences and only 8 spots in the playoffs with every team getting an at-large. So I would argue in some ways, like, this might sound a bit crazy, but I know everyone had their issues with how the college football playoff was run with 4 teams, but at least that was like there was kind of clear things, and it wasn't like some good teams were getting. Well, obviously there were questionable calls, and there always is and will be. Like you're not like, but just definitely I've seen. I feel like this one was a little more unfair, and I remember my freshman year. I think the team kind of because the UCLA lost and then they fell in the semis, they end up getting bumped out because of it. But it's just, I mean, it's how it goes. But I would argue that men's volleyball, the playoffs, how the playoff is structured with nature of the conferences, I'd say it was more unfair than the college football playoff. So call me crazy, but as someone who's just been kind of following, especially with USC in the hunt for a playoff spot and a good chance to win the national championship this year, I can kind of see it that way, I guess. But we will see what happens, and best of luck to men's volleyball. Baseball is our final team of the day we'll talk about. They lost 5-4 against Hawaii at LMU on Tuesday. So that was a tough game for them, especially Hawaii, especially just how much Hawaii. It was just a real pitcher's duel that game. So Hawaii scored the first 3 runs in the second and third, but then Bryce Martin Grudzielanek hit a grand slam in the bottom of the third to give USC the lead, and no runs would score until there was a crucial error in the ninth that would lead to 2 unearned runs scoring, and USC and gave the Rainbow Warriors the lead. And then Augie Lopez came in a pinch hit in the bottom of the ninth. He singled and got on base, but Wes Hickey, who pinch ran for him, would be left stranded on base. So definitely tough to see USC not be able to get it. But credit to Hawaii's a good team, and that was a real fight. And it was a good game, I'll say. Definitely a big pitcher's duel, like I was saying, but still definitely tough when you're that close and and you just see your team just come up short. But against Gonzaga, USC took 2 of 3 against the Bulldogs in a series at Great Park from Thursday to Saturday. Due to Easter, they didn't want them. Due to Easter, they bumped the series up a day. So they lost 9-6 on Thursday, won 9-5 on Friday, and then won 11-1 in 8 innings due to run rules on Saturday. So in game 1, the pitching struggled, and Gonzaga raced out to an 8-0 lead before USC mounted a comeback and got 6 unanswered runs, but it was just too little too late, and the Zags got an insurance run the ninth. But then definitely I was impressed with both Andrew Lamb, and just some of the guys offensively, like having great games. So it was definitely just still, like I said, just tough to see it come that close, but still, I mean, definitely, like you said, you just can't have a slow start like that. And like I said, the guys who just impressed me were Andrew Lamb, who went 2 for 4, and Adrian Lopez, who went 3 for 4. And then Saturday, USC won and evened up the series with the Zags striking first, but Adrian Lopez went 3 for 5 with a 3-run home run to put USC up in the first. And while Gonzaga had a big fifth to tie it up, USC's 7th inning put them up for good. And then on game 3, Dylan Osborne had a solid start and gave up only 1 run and surrendered the only run scored after he exited, even though it was charged to him. And then Adrian Lopez and Jack Bassier just had each had a big 2-run shot in the 4th and 5th respectively to help USC build a lead, and then a 5-run 8th capped off by Maximo Martinez driving home Ethan Hedges, put USC up 10 and ended the game on a run rule. So USC kind of killed the Zags in that final game. So USC now sits at 25-14 on the year, 11-7 in Big Ten play, so in tied 4th. They've now won 6 straight series, so it's definitely been really great to see them do well. So up next, they'll play at Long Beach State on Tuesday at 6 p.m. on ESPN Plus. The Dirtbags are 15 and 21 on the year. And then USC resumes Big Ten play at Minnesota with the Golden Gophers, 28 and 18 overall, 7 and 11 in Big Ten play from Friday to Sunday. So the game starts will be Friday at 4. Friday and Saturday we'll have first pitches at 4 and then 11 on Sunday. All 3 games will be on the Big Ten Plus. And USC is facing teams this week that are kind of struggling this year. And even though last week started tough, USC found ways to win the series versus the Zags, and USC needs to do the same against Long Beach State and Minnesota. And I think it's just definitely a good opportunity for the team. And also for Long Beach, it'll be like Adrian Lopez's first time back to Blair Field since he transferred from Long Beach State to USC. And I kind of really have been, and Lopez, as I've mentioned, had a great weekend against Gonzaga. But I've also been it's really cool been watching this guy play, especially because I got to actually call a game against him this summer with the summer ball club I worked for, Ventura County, and he was playing for Arroyo Seco, and so we were talking. Me and my the guy I was calling the game with, were talking about how he was at Long Beach State, but because of just how well he did there, why I was excited for him to come and join the USC baseball team. And you can see his impact on the field has been really great this year, especially offensively, and he had himself a great weekend. So I'm really excited to see what he does against his former team. So that's going to do it for us here on Behind. Oh, before we go, actually, last week I went 2-4. So I had the baseball loss versus Hawaii and the win versus Gonzaga. Beach volleyball, the loss at UCLA. Same with women's water polo at UCLA. And then men's volleyball, the split. So the loss at UCLA and the win versus UCLA at Galen. So bit of a tough week, especially with all the rivalry games. But USC, so that puts me at 93 and 33 on the season, 305 and 115 all time. I'm 11 and 7 at baseball, 11 and 4 at men's volleyball, and 5 and 1 at women's water polo, and then also 4 and 1 at beach volleyball is my first ever beach volleyball loss. And no, I'm not happy about it at all. But my plans this week, no home games like I mentioned at the top. So I'm going to go baseball tomorrow night at Long Beach State, and then men's volleyball, I'll be with them for the entirety of the MPSF tournament for certain. So they play Friday for certain at 8 p.m. against, we'll see who they get, and then Saturday, I'll be there if they win on Friday. So best of luck to everyone. That's going to do it for us here on Behind the Caution Tape. Thank you again to everybody who's been tuning in and subscribing. It means the world to me. Please make sure to get your knick-knack dolls. Use Fight on CC for 15% off. And I'll see you all soon, as I am working on getting a guest interview tonight. Still working on final confirmation, so don't want to say anything. I'll announce on my social medias once it is officially confirmed and finalized. But yeah, so you should always be seeing me soon. And if not, I'll see you next week on the Monday Rundown. Fight on.